Life by Dr. Pat. Leading innovation in fertility excellence.
Deep Dive into Reproduction with Life by Dr. Pat.
Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're diving deep into something, well, that you're personally curious about, the science behind family planning.
Yeah.
And we've got two fascinating articles in Thai, actually,
Okay.
from a Bangkok fertility clinic. So,
Interesting.
yeah, let me tell you, they challenge some common assumptions about getting pregnant.
Yeah. It's a topic full of surprises.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, we often hear about, meticulously tracking ovulation and all that.
Right.
But these articles kind of suggest that might not be the most effective way to go about it. So you're interested in understanding all this a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I think these articles offer some, pretty eye-opening insights.
Okay.
To kind of get started here, I think we should lay the groundwork a little bit. Like, how does conception actually work?
Absolutely.
The birds and the bees and all that.
Yeah. Well, the key to all this is understanding the what they call the fertile window, which is basically the time frame when pregnancy is possible. So it all comes down to the lifespan of the sperm and the egg.
Okay, break it down for us.
Okay, so sperm can survive inside the female reproductive tract
Okay.
for a surprisingly long time, actually.
Really?
Yeah, anywhere from like 3 to 5 days.
Wow.
But the egg,
Yeah.
once it's released from the ovary, it's only viable for like 12 to 24 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why the timing of this whole thing is so important.
So it's like a very delicate dance.
Yeah,
Where everything has to be perfectly in sync.
exactly. And think of it this way. The sperm,
Okay.
like a gentleman, needs to be waiting at the dance for the egg to arrive, not the other way around.
Okay.
Having those sperm ready and waiting, that's key.
I like that analogy. So
Yeah.
that really highlights why just knowing the exact moment of ovulation
Right.
isn't necessarily enough.
Exactly.
So how do people try to, typically track this whole fertile window?
You're about to enter a world of charts and thermometers and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
Of
So think calendar tracking, taking your basal body temperature every morning,
yeah.
even examining your cervical mucus.
Oh, look.
Some people even use LH tests or look for fern-like patterns. It gets pretty intense.
That does sound pretty intense. I can see how that could get kind of overwhelming.
Right.
And I'm guessing these articles, from Dr. Pat in Bangkok
Right.
have some opinions on all this.
They definitely do. Dr. Pat points out that
Oh, God.
while these methods can be useful,
Okay.
all this tracking can actually backfire.
Mhm.
Yeah, it can create a lot of anxiety and pressure,
Oh, I see.
which ironically might actually make it harder to get pregnant.
Oh, wow. So you might be thinking now, well, do all these tracking methods actually work?
Right.
What does the research say
Yeah.
about timing and conception and all that?
Well, there was an intriguing study from 1995
Okay.
that found the highest chance of conceiving, if couples only had intercourse once during their cycle,
Okay.
was from 2 days before ovulation to the day of ovulation.
Okay. So there is a bit more wiggle room than people think.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's good. That's a relief.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's helpful for you to know as you think about family planning.
Right?
But isn't there more recent research on all this?
Yeah, there is, and this is where things get really fascinating.
Okay.
More recent studies are kind of showing that the best approach might be, simpler than all that tracking.
Okay.
They found that couples that have intercourse daily
Okay.
have about a 75% chance of conceiving within 3 months.
Wow. Daily.
Yeah,
That's a commitment.
it is.
But it does seem effective.
Yeah.
What about people that, don't want to be quite so
Right.
dedicated?
Well, even having intercourse every other day
Okay.
resulted in a 66% chance of conceiving within 3 months.
Okay. Those are still pretty good odds.
Yeah, and then get this. Couples that have intercourse 2 to 3 times a week go down with no tracking whatsoever.
Okay.
Still had a 60% chance within 3 months.
Okay. So that's still pretty good.
Yeah.
But how does that compare to all the, the high-tech tracking methods and all that?
This is the kicker. When couples focus solely on pinpointing ovulation, their success rate actually dropped
Oh, wow.
to 30-40% within 3 months.
So all that meticulous tracking
Yeah.
might actually be lowering your chances.
It seems that way.
Wow. Dr. Pat's research seems to suggest that a more relaxed and consistent approach might be the way to go.
That's right. It seems counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But focusing on enjoyment and connection rather than obsessing over the calendar.
Right.
might be more effective in the long run.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And this ties in perfectly with some of the other key points that he emphasizes in these articles.
Right.
This is definitely making me rethink some things. Tell us more about Dr. Pat's, kind of philosophy, and what stood out to you in these articles.
Okay, well, so what's fascinating here is Dr. Pat really emphasizes, reducing stress
Okay.
throughout the entire conception journey.
Okay.
He even advises patients, especially like after embryo transfer,
Okay.
to focus on other, enjoyable activities and not dwell solely on baby making.
Interesting.
It's like he's saying, hey, go live your life,
Right.
enjoy your partnership.
That's a very refreshing perspective. I like that. And it makes me wonder, if all this pressure
Right.
to track and
Right.
perfectly time things
Right.
is adding like unnecessary stress
It could be.
to this already emotional process.
Absolutely. And in one of the articles, he uses this wonderful Thai phrase.
Oh,
Okay. Which kind of beautifully translates to
Yeah.
loving each other regularly is the best.
I love that. It really kind of shifts the focus from,
Right.
a purely goal-oriented kind of task
exactly.
to actually nurturing the connection
Yes.
and the intimacy in the relationship.
Exactly.
So much of the conversation around conception is
Yep.
about,
The physical stuff.
the physical aspects of it all.
Yeah,
But Dr. Pat seems to be acknowledging the emotional side as well.
absolutely. Yeah. Creating a space for both, the science and the human experience. He's
Okay.
saying, yes, understand the biology, but don't forget to nurture the love and connection that
Right.
ultimately creates life.
I like that it makes me think about, how this approach might apply to couples facing fertility challenges.
Right.
Would Dr. Pat's philosophy still kind of hold true in those situations?
That's a great question. And while these articles don't specifically address fertility treatments,
Okay.
I think that underlying message of reducing stress
Okay.
and focusing on connection is incredibly relevant.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, fertility treatments can be,
Very demanding.
so demanding, both physically and emotionally.
Absolutely. Going through, IVF or other assisted reproductive technologies
Yeah.
adds another layer
Yeah.
of complexity
Right.
and potential stress.
Exactly. Imagine going through all those procedures
Right.
and then feeling pressure to
Yeah.
perfectly time intercourse on top of that.
Right.
It's no wonder that,
Yeah,
stress levels can skyrocket.
Right. Right.
Dr. Pat's advice to, find other enjoyable activities to focus on
Okay.
seems especially crucial in
Yes.
those situations.
It's like a reminder that, even in the midst of all the medical interventions,
Right.
that, the foundation of love and connection is still the most important ingredient.
Precisely. Yeah. It's about remembering that you're more than just,
Right.
your fertility journey.
Exactly.
Nurturing your relationship, taking care of your emotional well-being
Yeah.
can create, a more supportive environment for conception, regardless of the path that you're on.
This has been so insightful. I feel like we've kind of uncovered a whole new way of thinking about this.
Right.
But it also makes me realize that this whole conversation
Yeah.
goes beyond,
It does.
just family planning.
Yeah.
It's really about cultivating healthy relationships
Absolutely.
and prioritizing well-being
Yes.
in all areas of life.
I completely agree. Yeah. Dr. Pat's philosophy resonates because it touches on something I think universal.
Right.
The importance of, finding balance, reducing stress, nurturing connection,
Yes.
whether or not a couple chooses to have children.
Right.
These are like essential ingredients for a fulfilling life.
So as we kind of wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
what are the biggest takeaways
Yeah.
you think our listeners should keep in mind?
Well,
Yeah, it's a really critical piece of the puzzle, I feel like,
it is. Yeah. We can get so caught up, in the mechanics. Right.
of ovulation and timing and all that,
Right.
that we forget about,
About the humans.
human beings at the heart of it all.
Exactly. And Dr. Pat's approach really, challenges this often, like a very clinical
Yeah.
and data-driven narrative around, trying to conceive.
It does, yeah. He's reminding us to consider the whole person,
Right.
not just the,
Yeah.
the reproductive system.
Exactly. And I think that resonates with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because, let's face it, trying to conceive can be incredibly stressful.
Yeah.
Then you add in, all the societal pressures of the biological clock.
Right.
And like, the ideal age to have children.
Right. Exactly.
It's no wonder
Yeah.
that anxiety levels, can be through the roof.
It's a heavy burden to carry, for sure.
Yeah.
And Dr. Pat seems to be advocating for a more, I think,
Yeah.
compassionate and holistic approach.
I agree.
He's not dismissing the...
Biological realities, of course.
Right.
But he's encouraging his patients, I think, to focus on
Yeah.
what they can control.
Right. Yeah.
Their well-being,
Right.
their relationship with their partner, and creating like a supportive environment for conception.
It's about empowering couples
Yeah,
to take charge of their journey
exactly.
rather than feel like they're at the mercy of their
Right.
biology
Right.
or, societal pressures.
Exactly. He's saying, yes, understand the science,
Right.
but also prioritize
Yeah.
your emotional health
Uh.
and the strength of your relationship.
And that's where, his advice to focus on
Right.
enjoyable activities and nurture that connection
Yes.
becomes like really powerful.
Yeah, it's a reminder that, conception is a journey that you're taking together. And that foundation of a strong relationship is essential,
Yes.
whether or not you ultimately, conceive.
Yeah. So in a way, this whole deep dive has been about
Yeah.
so much more than just the science of,
It has.
ovulation and conception.
Yeah.
It's about reframing the entire conversation.
Yes.
And acknowledging the emotional and relational aspects that are so often, I think, overlooked.
They are, yeah.
It's about shifting from like
Yeah.
a purely goal-oriented mindset to one of,
Right.
self-connection
Yeah.
and embracing the journey.
Exactly.
And I think that's like a beautiful takeaway
Yes.
for our listener as you, move forward on this path to parenthood.
Right.
Remember to prioritize your well-being.
Uh-huh.
Nurture that relationship
Yeah.
and find, moments of joy amidst,
Yeah.
the complexities of it all.
It's not just about achieving a pregnancy.
Right.
It's about creating, a loving and supportive foundation for a family.
That's such a good point, and we've covered so much ground today.
We-
From, the biological intricacies of the fertile window
Right.
to the impact of stress
Yes.
and, the importance of nurturing connection.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, this is like just the beginning
Yeah.
of your, exploration.
Have your journey.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This deep dive was meant to,
Yeah.
spark your curiosity,
Exactly.
empower you to continue learning,
Yeah.
asking questions.
Absolutely.
So, what resonated most with you?
Yeah.
What new insights will you take with you as you kind of navigate your
Yes.
own path to
Yeah.
family planning?
Yeah, I mean, we've shared some, surprising research findings
Yeah.
and thought-provoking perspectives.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the most important journey is the one that you'll embark on
Right.
together, guided by knowledge,
Oh, yeah.
love, and commitment to your well-being.
So keep exploring,
Keep connecting.
keep those conversations flowing.
Yeah.
And until next time, happy deep diving.
Leading. Innovation. Fertility. Excellence. Life by Dr. Pat. Leading innovation in fertility excellence.